Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Wrestling Uncensored. Welcome to the show. Tonight, is Riddle the next WWE champion? Does AEW need another title belt? Lacey Evans qualifies for Money in the Bank. John Cena's coming back. We watch Smackdown. We're watching Rampage. Johnny's here. We got a week's worth of wrestling to cover. Let's do it. Boy, good God Almighty, Johnny. Yes.
What's up, Dave?
Oh man, you all right? You good?
I'm beat up. Had a match last night. Didn't pull out the victory, but still standing at least.
I'm beat up too.
Hell of a match last night.
Yeah, I want to hear about the match. I just want to tell you, I'm also beat up, John. Jiu-jitsu yesterday, the instructor wasn't there, so it was just like open mat, so we just sparred for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I did a lot of sparring. I wrestled too, John, except my wrestling was like real for keeps. I mean, I'm not saying your wrestling isn't real. I'm just saying my wrestling was like,
it.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure you feel it. I feel mine too, though, John. Your wrestling was pro. My wrestling was amateur. I'm an amateur over here. You're a professional. I'm not trying to compare. I'm just saying I'm also sore today, John. I'm feeling pretty sore after yesterday's jiu-jitsu class. It was good. It's a good class. Your match yesterday, it was a triple threat. It was at a fair. You didn't win?
Yep. No, I didn't win. It was an Ormstown fair. That's roughly around where I used to live. So it's kind of like a homecoming for me. But I was the bad guy, though. I was the bad guy there, and it kind of worked. I'm a good enough bad guy. But no, the champion, next generation champion, Kevin Gray, is still the champion. Hell of a match. Got to give it to him. He got the better of me.
Yeah. Well, that's very nice of you to say, John. I don't think anybody could get the better of you, big man. You are the best. You are the man. And yeah, I'm glad that the match turned out yesterday, despite the rainy weather. Right? It was an outdoor show. So it worked out?
Well, it was in a tent, though.
Oh, okay. Nice. Good turnout?
I thought a good close to 100-something.
That's not bad for a fair show. That's pretty good.
Nope, not at all.
There you go.
But I'm pretty banged up right now. And
Oh.
whoa.
What hurts? Are you really that banged up? You'd seem a little banged up, John. What's the matter? You're not usually this beat up after your matches. What happened?
On it, because I got a lot of kicks.
Oh,
Honestly, I'm gonna have to take a second here. I'll be back. I gotta go puke. Honestly, my stomach is like, yeah. I will be right back. I gotta go puke.
Oh, okay.
I'm messed up here. I'll be back.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, guys.
What? Is John okay? He's banged up from his match? Well, that's weird. I didn't expect that to start the show. My God. Last week he was having internet problems. This week he's like, oh, I'm going to go throw up. And I'll be back eventually. What? I mean, when you got to go, I suppose. I didn't want him to do that on camera. So thankfully, hopefully John will be back, but I guess John is like under the weather. Maybe he's sick. I hope it's not a concussion from the match. Although it didn't seem to be the case. Okay. Well, I guess we'll move on. I don't know. I'm concerned for John. Hope he's all right. You will regret it June 22nd. I don't know what that means. That's a weird, some strange man making random threats that don't seem to make sense. Shout out to everybody watching. Lauren, Ryan Katz, even Mad Men, who's making weird threats. I don't know what's going on there. You will regret it June 22nd. What does that mean? Who will? Regret what? It's a random Wednesday. Something going to happen on Dynamite? We're watching AEW Rampage right now. I just saw Eddie Kingston get the win over Jake Hager. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. Eddie Kingston beating Jake Hager. Jake Hager, to me, is a real tough guy.
Thanks.
But Eddie Kingston is the one that gets the victory. That's all right. The match was okay. I think Kingston won, right? It's hard to pay attention to that. The show, Johnny's health. I got the Yankees game on in front of me, too. Yankees and Cubs going into extra innings in the Bronx. We've got a lot to get to here tonight on the show. So much going on in the world of professional wrestling. AEW has got another pay-per-view coming up. The Forbidden Door. Forbidden Door coming up real soon. June 26th in Chicago. AEW going back to Chicago. Chicago gets a lot of wrestling pay-per-views. Hell in a Cell was there. They're getting Forbidden Door here. They're getting 2 big pay-per-views in the span of a month. Must be pretty good to be a Chicago-based wrestling fan. You get everything. That's pretty good. So Forbidden Door coming up on June 26th. AEW starting to put that pay-per-view together. John Moxley won his match this week against Kyle O'Reilly. AEW opening up the Dynamite show this week with a battle royal that was won by Kyle O'Reilly. And the situation was the winner of the battle royal takes on the number 1 contender, John Moxley, in the main event. And then the winner of that match takes on somebody for an interim AEW World Championship at Forbidden Door. Because CM Punk is hurt, they're going to do an interim AEW World title. Hiroshi Tanahashi is going to take on Hiroki Goto at some point in New Japan. And the winner of that match will take on John Moxley. It's going to be Tanahashi. Goto versus Moxley is not a pay-per-view headlining match. If you're not familiar with New Japan Pro Wrestling and the names Hiroshi Tanahashi and Hiroki Goto mean the same to you, Hiroshi Tanahashi is like the John Cena of New Japan, and Hiroki Goto is like the Sheamus. You know, it's a different deal. Tanahashi will win the match. It will be Tanahashi versus Moxley for the interim AEW championship. They are back. I don't know what that means. Who is back? That's weird. Whoever this Madman guy is, he's a weird guy. I don't know what the hell he's saying. June 22nd, they are back. Who's back? Who will regret? What the hell is this guy talking about? Moxley Tanahashi seems like the match for Forbidden Door for the interim AEW World Championship. As far as Hangman Page, who was the AEW World Champion, I think John is back. Forget AEW. I'm concerned about John. John, are you okay? Are you okay?
Good as new.
Are you sick?
Good as new. Well, I just had a little bit of a stomach problem, and now I'm good.
Okay. You want to take the rest of the show off? Like, do you need rest? Are you all right? Was it the match from last night? What happened?
Combination of things. You know, the match, it was a tough match.
Okay.
And then I was in Ormstown. Like, you know, I haven't been there since before the pandemic, so I probably stayed out too late. That was probably a huge problem.
Okay.
So, and maybe, you know, eating fair food, not the best idea.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I hope.
But now I feel refreshed and rejuvenated.
Excellent.
That's what puking does for you.
All right.
And crapping at the same time.
Okay, cool. We don't need the details, John. It's good. So, John Moxley against Hiroshi Tanahashi looks like the interim AEW World Championship match. I was talking about that briefly.
But it's not official yet.
Well, Tanahashi's taking on Goto. It's not going to be Goto. I said it before here when you were taking care of yourself. Tanahashi's like the John Cena of New Japan, and Goto's like a Sheamus. It wouldn't make any kind of sense to have Goto main event a pay-per-view. You know, like he's not a headlining act. He's a good, solid wrestler, but he's not a headlining act for New Japan. So I think it's going to be Tanahashi against Moxley for the interim AEW World Championship.
But wasn't that one of the guys that Moxley wanted to wrestle like really badly? Like I feel like he made a message or something there saying that Goto's one of his guys that he wanted to wrestle. Obviously, it's not his choice here, right? This is what Tony Khan wants. So.
Yeah, I think, most wrestling fans, like if you're familiar with Tanahashi, you want to see Tanahashi. If Tanahashi's a possibility. Right. Plus, didn't Tanahashi already come out on AEW TV? Like, he came out.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, it might be Goto. Have we seen Goto? Do AEW fans even know what Goto looks like?
I don't.
There you go. I mean, I do because I like New Japan, but I'm saying this is an AEW thing. You got to have big names. You got to have top stars. You got to have Tana. You got to have the Ace. Go Ace! Da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na. I love that guy. I love the Ace of New Japan, Hiroshi Tanahashi. I'm pumped. Him and Moxley doesn't move me. You know what does? Hangman Page against Kazuchika Okada. You know what doesn't? Adam Cole against Kazuchika Okada. I don't know what they set up there. I don't want a three-way either. I mean,
I feel like we're getting a three-way.
Not a three-way wrestling match anyways. Adam Cole versus Kazuchika Okada. No, thank you. Kazuchika versus Hangman. Yes, please. Jay Whiteo versus Hangman. No, thank you. Forget Jay Whiteo. I don't need Jay Whiteo involved. I don't want a three-way triple threat match. I want the IWGP title on the line. Hangman Page challenging Kazuchika Okada. That's the match to me. You think a triple threat with what? Okada, Cole, and Hangman? Or is Jay White involved? Or
well, here's the way I'm looking at this. Like, Forbidden Door, it seems like it's going to be jam-packed. And as we've seen with other matches they've already booked, I feel like you're going to see a lot of multi-man matches. And, like, the single matches, that's going to be rare, I think. Like, Moxley versus Tanahashi, that might be one of the few single matches you see, I think, on the pay-per-view. Because they're trying to combine both rosters, right? So to put everyone on, I think you're going to see a lot of multi-person matches.
But the IWGP World Title match should be a one-on-one match. I don't think it should be muddied into a three-way or four-way match or whatever. If the IWGP World Title is on the line, it should be one-on-one. And New Japan, like, they don't do triple threat matches. They don't do it. Like, it's not something that's done. They never do it. That's not where you're going to get Okada at his best. And to me, if you want to introduce Okada to the AEW audience, you put him in a one-on-one title match against a bust-ass wrestler like Hangman Page that he can beat but have an incredible match against. Like, you expect Hangman to lose to Okada, and that's all good. But I think that to really maximize Okada, you have him in a one-on-one match with Hangman because he's not used to a triple threat. Like, it's just not done in Japan. So why come to America and do something you're not really that comfortable with? Or, it's like a little bit weird. It's not traditional Okada, and I think that a lot of people have heard of Okada, and a bunch of people have heard of him and not seen him. So the first time you see him, I think he should be at his best. And Hangman will leave him at his best. Hangman will give him, the best quality Okada match you could possibly get right now outside of maybe Kenny Omega. I don't think there's anybody that could work with Okada as well as Hangman. I think Hangman is the perfect fit. Adam Cole, I think, would be terrible, honestly. He's too small for Okada. Okada's a big man.
Well, I feel like, if I remember correctly, when we first were starting to book this, I thought Hangman Okada, that made the most sense to me. because Hangman didn't win the AEW championship. He'll go for the next championship. But because of what Adam Cole be on commentary, saying that he also wanted the shot, and like he's not cleared to wrestle right now. So when can they have the match? The pay-per-view is coming up too.
Who's not cleared to wrestle?
Adam Cole.
Really?
Like that's why he's not wrestling. Like remember he was supposed to wrestle in that 10-man tag 2 weeks ago, but injuries.
So why is he out on Dynamite saying, "Oh, it's not going to be you, Hangman. It's going to be me"? They got 2 weeks to figure that out.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if they're just throwing it out there, just keep Cole like relevant, maybe. Just keep him around. That he has this, but it's still going to be Hangman Okada, possibly. But I feel like they might try to throw him in there. I think
that's weird to me because
he fit?
Like Cole coming out and saying, "Oh, Hangman, I'm going to be the one to wrestle for the IWGP title." Like I want the title shot. It kind of makes you think they're going to do Cole versus Hangman with the winner getting the match, right? But if Cole's hurt, how do they know they'll be able to get that match in before the pay-per-view if they only have 2 episodes of Dynamite before that?
Right.
That's weird. AEW, what are you going to do? You never know.
Well, I don't think Hangman right now is scheduled right now for this Dynamite, so maybe, they'll add it out of nowhere. But I don't know. I feel like Adam Cole is probably going to wrestle in this pay-per-view, and if they're already building towards that, it just makes the most sense. Unless maybe you throw in, like you say, Jay White, make it a 4-way.
I don't need that. I wouldn't mind
a 4-way scheduled. So,
do you? Oh yeah, yep. The All Atlantic Championship will have a champion. They're going to crown a champion there in a 4-way match at Forbidden Door. Pac already qualified on a Dynamite this week, and he'll take on the winner of Malachi Black and Penta Oscuro. Probably Malachi Black, I'm thinking, right? Because Penta's like Pac's friend. Why would he?
Well, just the way they've been pushing him, it just makes the most sense, Malachi.
Yeah. Miro versus Ethan Page. I would think Miro.
I would hope Miro. He just came back.
Yeah.
He should probably take the championship, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was talking about wanting to win a championship back. I thought the TNT belt was the belt he was talking about, but maybe this is the belt they'll give him. I know Wardlow cut a promo this week, says he wants the TNT title.
Right.
So maybe they'll go Miro for this and Wardlow for that. So it'll be Pac versus probably Malachi Black versus probably Miro versus somebody from New Japan. They haven't said who.
They announced who? Wow.
No, just somebody. I don't even think they said, like,
there's a
match between this guy or this guy. It's just like, somebody. Don't know. Could be anybody, I guess. Maybe it'll be Toru Yano. That'd be fun. You ever seen Toru Yano?
I haven't, but I feel like you're going to see guys like we saw David Finlay. Like I think it's going to be something like that, I think. Guys that you've already seen already.
Toru Yano might be the best comedy wrestler of all time.
Yeah,
that's how good he is.
Fit in that match.
No, but I'm saying like his stuff is so good. He's I would like if you've never heard of Toru Yano and you've never seen Toru Yano, go watch like some Toru Yano matches. You would like them. John, you would like them. If you're a wrestling fan, and even if you're not a wrestling fan, Toru Yano is very enjoyable. He has got a great gimmick. He's a very fun wrestler. He's very talented. Like, Toru Yano is legit as hell. People that don't know Toru Yano are like, Dave, what the hell are you talking about? And people that are aware of Toru Yano right now are like, yes, of course, Toru Yano. Everybody knows Toru Yano if you watch New Japan. I'm surprised you've never heard of Toru Yano, John. The guy's good, man. Really good. Tremendous.
I mean, there's just so much wrestling.
I know.
You know, it's hard to keep up with AEW stuff, you know? Like,
you're right.
There's just so much.
There's AEW matches going on right now, and I'm not keeping up with them. Red Velvet taking on Chris Statlander right now on Rampage. I like Red Velvet as part of the baddies. I like the baddies.
Well, it made as much sense as Edge getting dropped from Judgment Day. No longer in the House of Edge, which is, like, it's weird now. I have to call it Judgment Day.
Whatever it's called. House of Finn. The Balor Club. We'll talk about WWE.
Would be great, actually.
Yeah, that'd be good. We'll talk about WWE in a minute. I want to catch up on a couple AEW things as the Yankees turn a beautiful double play in the 10th to end the top of the 10th, going to the bottom. Let's see if we can win this one in the Bronx. Let's go! God, I love the Yankees. I'll tell you, I start watching wrestling sometimes, and I just change the channel and go to the Yankee game, and it's hard to turn back to wrestling. I just like watching the Yankees. They just win so much. It's a lot of fun. Best team in baseball.
Right now, it feels like we might get the 2000 rematch.
Yeah,
which I think was a sweep, if not mistaken. But
Yankees will win everything. There's no way they're losing any. They're so good. Moxley,
watch out with Houston.
Take it easy. Moxley versus Tanahashi, likely. Pac versus Malachi versus Miro versus Yano, likely for the All-Atlantic Championship. Was this a necessary belt for AEW? A lot of people saying, I don't like the idea of another mid-card title, but they've got so much talent, and they've got very few reasons for them to be wrestling each other. I don't hate this. I know I feel like the reaction has been mostly negative online to like another belt in AEW, but I don't know. The TNT title is kind of there; it exists, but I think you want to mix it up. You want to elevate some people. They got so many guys now. I don't hate it.
I'm kind of the same way as you. It's just I feel this was the wrong title to introduce next. Like, I feel like that the Trios Championship should have came before this. I feel the women's tag should have came before this. Even though the women's division isn't great, I still feel they have enough people to have like a tag team division that might make it more interesting, just more competitive, that division. Like, this is like, you really have to get rid of that FTW championship now. There's just way too many championships, and the ROH titles have to go too. Like, ROH has to be its own thing. Stop having ROH title matches, because almost every match is going to feel like a title match.
Are they still doing ROH belts there? I mean, I know FTR has a tag belts, but Samoan Joe has a belt, right?
TV. No
Wheeler
TV.
Utah has one of those belts, but does he defend it on AEW TV?
I think he defended it once, maybe. On maybe Rampage or Dark, possibly. But this is where it's come down to, where it's like these titles are really getting pushed to the side, and it's like, that's not a great way for your champions to be, like, just to be pushed aside. It should be a big deal. So I think that's the big problem with having another championship. But again, I like the idea. It kind of works in AEW as long as you get rid of those excess titles.
Get rid of all the Ring of Honor championships. I think those belts are ridiculous. Right. They're unnecessary. I don't know why they exist. They're champions of what exactly? What's Ring of Honor?
A brand at this point that doesn't have a show.
Is it a wrestling promotion?
I mean, they're kind of what AEW was, in a sense. They just run off pay-per-views right now until they get a show.
They don't have pay-per-views.
And then they'll randomly... They had a pay-per-view, and apparently in July they might have a pay-per-view too.
They might have a pay-per-view? Or they will have
They
a
might
pay-per-view?
have a pay-per-view.
They might have a pay-per-view in July. I mean, we're mid-June at this point. I don't understand. I don't understand what Ring of Honor is. I don't know why there's belts. I don't know what Tony Khan bought. I don't know what they are. Are they a promotion? Is it just like an old brand that you're trying to keep alive for some reason? I don't get it.
Nostalgia.
There's too much wrestling. There's too much AEW. There's way too much wrestling just in general. I don't think you need Ring of Honor. I don't know why they have Ring of Honor championship belts in AEW. I would get rid of all of that immediately. It would make, like, Who cares? Like, the Ring of Honor belts all mean less than any AEW championship. Because AEW's up here and Ring of Honor doesn't exist. No one looks at any of these Ring of Honor title matches as, oh, prestigious titles on the line. Who's going to be the next Ring of Honor TV champion? Who cares? Who cares? No one cares. Ring of Honor TV champion. They don't have a TV show. How are you a TV champion? It's absolutely ludicrous. And not in a good way. Not in the, roll out Ludacris the rapper way. Ludicrous in the literal term. All right, John. I like the All-Atlantic Championship, but I would get rid of the Ring of Honor Championship. Like, another AEW title doesn't, it's fine. Are there too many championship belts in AEW? Yeah, probably. But that's because you have a bunch of Ring of Honor belts there for some reason. And Ring of Honor doesn't exist.
Also, the FTW title. Like, it was nice for what it was, but I feel like now, if you're going to have another mid-card championship in the men's, you don't need that FTW title.
That FTW title was always unnecessary. I thought it was just a gimmick for Ricky Starks. How about the rest of this Forbidden Door pay-per-view? Like, what do you want to see on this thing? We have some matches. We have a kind of vague idea of what's going to go down. You've got Moxley, Tanahashi for the interim belt. You've got Pac and Malachi and Miro and somebody in that four-way. You've got probably Hangman versus Okada if we're lucky. I want to see Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. I think that's a dream match. Two great technical wrestlers. I would absolutely love for that to be thrown onto the card. I wouldn't mind seeing the Guerrillas of Destiny take on the FTR. I think that would be pretty damn fun. It seems like
It won't happen, though.
No, it's not. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen, right? Isn't FTR feuding with, like, Will Ospreay and friends?
Right, and they're probably going to wrestle. I think they're going to do a three-way tag. See, multi-man thing, whatever. Grows.
Again.
They're probably going to wrestle Trent and Rocky. And I believe it was Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan, was it?
Yeah, Great O'Khan, yeah. Yeah. I don't know about that. Will Ospreay's going to wrestle on this Rampage, right?
Supposed like he made his whole debut, right? Like
on
Dynamite this week, so
it's pretty cool. I like Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay is very good. Like one of the best wrestlers in the world good. Like he's excellent. So the fact that he's, even dipping his toe into AEW is pretty exciting because he is like next level good. Right? Will Ospreay is one of the best wrestlers in the world today. It's pretty cool.
I think it's a tag though tonight though.
Yeah, it's like a 6-man tag, right?
Right.
Yeah. I like Ospreay. I'm not sure how he's being booked in AEW. Like, I don't know who these like Australian guys are that are his friends. I know he's got a group with Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan, but now he's got a group with Australian guys too. I don't understand. I don't know who these guys are. I haven't watched a ton of New Japan lately, so I'm a little bit out of the loop as to all the stories. Because I know there's New Japan in Japan, and then there's New Japan in America, and it doesn't always line up. I don't know.
Well, I think the countdown to Forbidden Door, that's really helpful if you're interested in this pay-per-view. Because you really need to get some background on a lot of these wrestlers that you don't really know about. They just show up, and it's like, oh, it's this guy. I'm like, yeah, you can do a little bit more than that. Package would be nice. Something.
Is there a count? They haven't done anything, right?
Oh, that's before the pay-per-view, right? It'll be the...
Yeah.
After
I'm
Rampage,
excited because I'm pretty aware of who everybody is, all the major players. I just hope they put them in the right place, I know who the guys are in New Japan. I know who the guys are in AEW. I would really like to see Danielson, Zack Sabre.
Right.
I wouldn't mind seeing Suzuki wrestle somebody again. Suzuki's always fun. I guess Naito is still on the shelf. I don't know if Naito's wrestling as often. I don't know if he's going to be on this. Who?
I'm not sure, but I think Kingston, he's been asking for other guys, but I think him against Suzuki.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Eddie Kingston against Minoru would be interesting. Minoru would show him what a real tough man is all about. I think that would be a good match. I would love to see Naito on this card, but it doesn't look like it. I would love to see
Ibushi.
You know, yeah, Ibushi. Ibushi's not working for New Japan really right now. He's got problems with New Japan, so I think he's not there.
Oh, that's a huge hole right there. That's a big loss.
That's why you need Okada and Tanahashi in big matches, because you don't have Kota Ibushi, you don't have Tetsuya Naito. And those are the other two big players in that company, right? I don't know what this Forbidden Door show is going to look like, but I'm looking forward to it because it's a different concept. It's something new. It's something different, you know? It might not work. It might not be I don't think they're going to book the show that I wanted to see when it's like, if it's AEW versus New Japan and you tell me to book it, it's not going to be the same show that Tony Khan books, obviously, but I think it'll be interesting. Like, Moxley and Tanahashi doesn't do a lot for me. I love Tanahashi, but, like, Moxley against him is like, whatever.
That's probably the main event.
I know. CM Punk against Tanahashi would be really exciting. You know?
Yeah,
that's
100%.
A different story. But Moxley doesn't, because he's already been in New Japan. I feel like he's wrestled Tanahashi already.
Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't, but Jericho's wrestled a bunch of guys too. I mean, I'm sure Jericho's going to get a match. Probably against someone he's already wrestled, though.
Yeah, Jericho's kind of wrestled all the guys. Like, he wrestled Okada, Naito, Tana. Jericho went through the top guys there in the company.
Even some randoms. Didn't he wrestle like Goto or something?
That
was a long time ago, by the way.
Yeah, Moxley wrestled Goto a long time ago, yeah. Or no. Jericho. Moxley wrestled Goto, I think.
Oh, okay.
I thought he did. I know he wrestled Ishii. No, Jericho wrestled Evil.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Everything is evil. I think Evil, isn't he married to somebody, like Io Shirai or something?
Oh, I don't keep up to date with that stuff.
I try to. I want to know. I'm interested in everything. What else is going on in AEW before we switch over to the WWE?
Well, we had Thunder Rosa against Marina Shafir, and that was what it was. I don't know,
I liked
it. Felt like a style splash. Like, it wasn't bad, but the crowd just wasn't into it, and that hurts it a lot.
Yeah. Maybe not, but I liked it. I like Thunder Rosa, but to me, she's like, Thunder Rosa is like Valentina Shevchenko in the UFC. Like, Valentina Shevchenko is very good, you know? She's like one of the best champions in the UFC, but she's not super famous. There's not much flashy about her, and she's not like a big star. You know, like, she doesn't have a ton of charisma. Right. I like her. I'm a big fan of Valentina Shevchenko. I think she's badass and very cool, you know? But, like, she hasn't translated to, like, big pay-per-view. You know, like, she's a champion, but she's co-headlining this next to the light heavyweight title because Valentina in the main event of a pay-per-view is just not that strong. I don't know if she's ever headlined a pay-per-view on her own. Maybe once or twice, but, like, she's one of the best champions in the UFC, but she's just, like technically she's great.
Right.
And, you know, but there's just nothing there that makes you go, wow. Well, actually, there is. There's the skill and the dancing. And actually, Valentina's way more impressive than Thunder Rosa. But, like, I see them in the same way. Like, Thunder Rosa's very good. And in the ring, like, she's very solid. You know what I mean? Like, she does everything correctly, and she believes it, and you buy that she is that badass Thunder Rosa and the Mexican stuff that she, she's very proud of her heritage, and she represents very strongly for all of her the culture and lucha libre, and I get it, and I respect the hell out of her. But I just don't care that much. Because there's not that extra it factor, that charisma that makes you go, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I like her. I respect the hell out of her. But I don't think I tune in to see her.
Well, I think it's just really the promos. That's about it. I mean, she struggles in the promos. English isn't her first language, and it's tough for her to get out how she feels, I think, at times. I think she has a lot of intensity, but it's just not easy for her to project that intensity in terms of the English language. So I think that hurts her promo a bit, the hesitation with that.
But there's that it factor that's missing, Like, you tune in to see Charlotte Flair on TV because there's, like, a presence.
Right.
You tune in to see Becky Lynch or Bianca Belair, kind of, but
her presence, I don't know.
Oh, well, Jade Cargill, she's got presence.
Okay.
But Thunder Rosa just kind of exists. I like her. But yeah, I thought Marina's entrance was really cool. I liked Marina. The match was, I thought it was fine. I didn't like the Battle Royal. Like, why wasn't Hangman in the Battle Royal? He's a former champion. And also, not only was he not in the Battle Royal, but shouldn't he have been the guy that you face if you win the Battle Royal to get a title shot, considering he was a long-reigning champion? And, like, I know Moxley's the number one contender, but shouldn't you be the new number one contender when you're, like, the former champion and you just lost one match to CM Punk? I didn't really get that.
Well, they've stayed consistent with this whole idea of, like, if you lose, you're not the number one ranked guy anymore. You're going to need to win another match to basically get back that number one spot. I think most guys drop to third or fourth. So they just give it to the person who's on the biggest roll at that moment.
That's kind of stupid, though, isn't it?
Yes and no, because, like, I feel that automatic rematch, it's like, that he's not going to win more often than not. So that's why you kind of maybe stretch out that rematch. And it's potentially happening here.
You don't have to give the automatic rematch, but that's not what this is here. This is the champion's hurt. We're going to crown an interim champion. If you're going to crown an interim champion, like if this was a UFC and they were going to crown an interim champion because the old champ got hurt, the guy that just lost to the champion, especially if he was like a long-reigning champion, he'd probably be in the interim title fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't disagree with that, but
like if this were real and Hangman loses to Punk in a close match and then Punk gets hurt and they're like, well, we need to find a new champion, the first guy they're going to turn to and call would be Hangman against, the winner of a Battle Royal to be the new interim champion. It just didn't make a lot of sense that it's like Moxley, and I forget about Hangman. He's not even in the Battle Royal. And when you saw the Battle Royal, it was, jobbers mostly. Like guys that you knew had no shot of ever being the AEW World Champion.
Well, Andrade's decent. They haven't really given that super push, but I could see him getting a super push one day.
Right, but he's not going to be the champion. Johnny Hungy's not going to be the champion. The Ass Boys aren't going to be the champion of AEW. The fact that Kyle O'Reilly won that Battle Royal, you're like, wow. This is the best they got in this thing? Kyle O'Reilly? I don't know.
Well, it makes you take notice.
And when he won, it was like, what? Well, he's not beating Jon Moxley in the main event. A, he's at a disadvantage because he just worked a Battle Royal. And B, he's Kyle O'Reilly. come on.
Well, I think this was a step in that direction of making sure that stigma of like it's Kyle O'Reilly changes, where it's like you got to take him seriously now. I mean, if this guy can beat Darby Allin on,
I know.
I'm just saying,
He beat Darby on pay-per-view. I get it. They're trying to make him into something. But to me, he will always be the Bobby Fish tag team partner. I don't see him as a breakout single star. He's below Adam Cole on the pecking order, and that's pretty low, brother. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's too bad. No, there's no question about it.
Right.
But I think some guys were left out to protect them, though, too, as well. Like MJF, obviously, he's not winning it, so you don't have him win the Battle Royal where he's not clearly going to win. So,
well, he's not on the show, MJF.
For now. I think we wait and see on that one.
I mean, at this point, it's kind of weird because, like, it's almost like it was real and he's been fired, right? Like, they're working it really well if it's a work because they didn't capitalize on the promo. They disappeared him. They took him off their roster page. They took his merch away. They're not talking about the promo. There's specific instructions not to mention him, not to talk about him, not to promote him.
Right.
I don't know. Like, it's very interesting. It's the most fascinating thing going on in wrestling right now because I usually could tell you what's real and what's not. And if I can't tell you, I'll go and I'll listen to somebody in the wrestling world who knows and can tell you. And there is not a single person in professional wrestling that has a goddamn clue of what's really going on with MJF right now. Nobody. Not Meltzer, not Cornette, not Tony Khan. I mean, maybe Tony Khan, but like, not Johnny, not AJ, certainly, not Dave. Nobody knows.
I'm sure AJ has a theory.
He's got a theory, but I don't think he knows who MJF is, so we'll leave it there. But nobody knows what the hell is going on with MJF. Nobody has a clue. We all have theories, but nobody's sure. And I think that's great. I mean, whatever it is, it's interesting. Whether it's real or not, it's interesting. It's a story to follow because MJF is alive and he will wrestle again. It's just a matter of time. So I don't know what the story is with him, but I can't wait to see the next chapter. Right? It's like, well, I don't know, but if he's advertised to be somewhere, you're goddamn right I'm going to tune in. And I think everybody else is too. And that's what you want. That's the name of the game, right? He's must-see TV, and not many people in professional wrestling are must-see. Some people you want to see, you know? Like Roman Reigns is going to defend the title on Smackdown next week. Yeah, big deal. If you told me MJF was going to be on Dynamite to address whatever, it'd be like, whoa. What's this? What's he going to say now? You know? He's the most fascinating man in professional wrestling today. It's amazing, you know? He's done a hell of a job. Whatever this is, he's must-see. Gotta love him. You think it's real?
I think the longer they drag it out, the more people are going to believe it's real. I think there was elements that he said had some truth to it, but I think they've worked out a deal where it's like, we'll do this. And this is, I think, going to build them up for the championship. I think when Punk comes back, you know, Punk will do the interim thing, and then he's going to do MJF, I think.
Maybe.
I see MJF as champion by the end of the year. End of the year, he should be champion.
I don't disagree with you. Hell of an angle to get there, if it is an angle. Harold Schneider dropping a super chat with the coffee cup. Shout out to you, Harold. Go get yourself a Wrestling Uncensored coffee cup. Merch.ringsidereport.net. Merch.ringsidereport.net right here on the Ringside Report Network. Keep supporting the network. Become a member of the team. Join.ringsidereport.net. Hit us up on Super Chat if you have any questions or comments about the show. And if you are a member, you can join the show whenever you want. So how about that? We've got FTR and Trent right now in the main event of AEW Rampage, taking on Will Ospreay and his Australian friends. I'm not sure what they're called. I know it's like Australian something. Do you know?
I know Excalibur said something, but I wasn't really paying attention or could tell what he was yelling.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, this isn't the big match right here. I mean, it's a 6-man. Will Ospreay, like, he's doing okay, but I mean, you're not really getting to see him showcase himself here.
No. Wardlow says he wants the AEW TNT Championship. Scorpio Sky's the champion, but I thought he was hurt. Are they going to do an interim TNT title too?
No, I think what they would do is that he's hurt, but not hurt enough that he can't wrestle. I think they'll just do a simple squash with these two hurt, One move,
few power bombs.
Over.
Yeah, maybe a power bomb or two.
Maybe if he's hurt.
Yeah. Well, come on, man. You didn't see Cody Rhodes at Hell in a Cell? If you're hurt, you wrestle, brother. You get a 5-star rating from Dave Meltzer, brother.
Now he's out 9 months, they say.
Yeah. That's what they say. Do you believe it?
I think he'll be back by the Rumble. I think it's just to throw us off. I think he'll be back by the Rumble.
Yeah.
Do a Cena.
9 months would be March 2023, but I think, like you, he'll probably be back by the Rumble. I mean, I know he had surgery to repair the torn pec, and he's hurt and all, but if he's able to wrestle with the torn pec, could he really be out that long? I don't understand.
Well, I just worry the fact that, to me, it's like, what do you do now on Raw? Like, he was probably the best part of the show, or one of the best parts of the show, in all of WWE, too. So for him to be gone, that's a devastating loss. Like, they kind of needed him.
He made that pay-per-view last weekend. Like, that match with Seth was so good. It was so good.
The three-way was good, too.
Yeah, the Bianca Becky Asuka match was very good. The rest of the pay-per-view was pretty mid, right?
It was Raw. It was a Raw show.
Yeah. Except for Corbin and Moss, that was a Smackdown match, which was slightly better than I expected it to be, but I expected it to be horrible. So it was,
right,
just bad. It was just bad, But yeah, that pay-per-view last weekend was actually decent from WWE on the strength of those two matches. And Cody and Seth, a major reason why that thing was so good. I thought it was more enjoyable than Double for Nothing. Because Double for Nothing took too long. Too long to get to the point, This one was better. And I don't think that there was a single match at Double or Nothing that was as good as Cody and Seth in the cell.
Well, according to Meltzer, Anarchy in the Arena was. So.
Yeah, well, he's wrong about that, I think. I don't understand. I mean, I said, 5 stars for Meltzer, and I think he gave the Cody Seth 5 stars, right? Wasn't that like a big deal? People were talking about that?
First match since 2011.
For WWE?
On the main roster. For WWE on the main roster.
Right, which is so ridiculous. So it was good. Because Meltzer gives everything in AEW 5 stars, right? I mean, not everything, but like a lot of matches, and you're like, that was a perfect 5 out of 5 match for you? Really? I don't understand. Like the Anarchy in the Arena. He gave that 5 out of 5. I'm like, well, I don't know about that. But I don't care what his opinion is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't really matter to me if he gives a match 5 stars or 4 stars or 2 stars or no stars. Who cares? Did you like the match? How many stars did you give it? Like, it doesn't really matter what... Like, we do the ratings on 10 for the pay-per-view.
For the show.
Right? overall. We'll do that. And I go, Hell in a Cell was 6.5 on 10 for me. And somebody else might say, it's 4 on 10. I'm not going to argue with them and say, you're wrong. How could you give it 4? It's at least a 6. Like, it's entertainment. You're going to rate things differently. Everybody likes, whatever. For some reason, people get all up in arms about Dave Meltzer's star ratings. Like, it's the guy's opinion on a subjective art form. Like, if you don't like it, if you don't agree with him, like, fine. But people are like, well, that's wrong, and you're disrespecting the guys by doing that, and how about this? And it's like, well, I don't know. At the time, he didn't like this as much as he liked that, so what's the big deal? But then when I see people go, this match was better than this match because Meltzer said that, I was like, well, no, that's not how that works exactly, But people will use that, be like, well, this match clearly better because if you look back in the Wrestling Observer from 1995, and Bryan Danielson's never got a 5-star match, so he must suck compared to Kenny Omega, who's got like a dozen. It's like, well, that's not really how wrestling works. Huh? Did he get one?
Got one at Double or Nothing.
Well, finally.
Double or Nothing, right?
Was that his first one ever?
I think it was his second because I'm pretty sure the match with Kenny was it last year.
Oh yeah,
pretty sure that was 5. Sometimes he gives like 6 or 7, so that may have been 6.
Right. I mean, the guy has a star ranking out of 5 that he gives 6s and 7s to. Like, it's all it's all fun. It doesn't mean anything in the end. Like, it doesn't matter. But people take it as, like, fact, Well, this match was 3 stars. So that means it must be a 3-star match. Meltzer says, so I believe that. It's like, well, how did you feel about the match? Did you like it? Like,
did you watch it?
And really, it's hard to rank matches with a star rating. It really is. It's tough. And I saw something where it's like, somebody's attacking Meltzer online or like, Meltzer, you never gave Kurt Angle a 5-star match. Which, again, is ridiculous because Kurt Angle's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. He's had classics. Are you going to tell me that Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle from WrestleMania was not as good as Cody and Seth at Hell in a Cell? I mean, that seems kind of dumb, Because Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania is one of the greatest matches of all time. Like, Kurt Angle's had some classic matches. You're telling me Kurt Angle versus Jeff Jarrett in the steel cage at the TNA wasn't a 5-star match, when they were fighting over Karen? I mean, that shit was classic. So the fact that Meltzer's never given Kurt Angle a 5-star match, it's like, well, it doesn't mean Kurt Angle's a bad wrestler. It just means that, at the time, Meltzer didn't rate his matches very high for one reason or another. But the 4 stars, 4.5 stars, like, he's got 4 3/4 stars. Like, it's so specific, and that's why people give him shit over it, because, like, he makes it so specific that it almost seems like there's a scientific formula behind it, but it's not. It's just some guy in California writing shit down and having, his own thoughts on a match. I have my thoughts on a match. John has his thoughts on a match, and I never get mad. I'd be like, I like this match better. Like, I say match of the night of a pay-per-view, and I'll say it's this, and then John will have a different match of the night. I say, all right, cool.
Sometimes it's the same.
Sometimes it's the same, but sometimes it's not. But do we ever, like, get into big arguments over, like, well, no, you didn't rank this match as high as I did, and that's wrong. Like, I don't really care.
Well, we'll go over our critiques of matches, and explain why.
Yeah.
We may not agree with that stuff, but
well, that's it.
Not a flame war for that.
I don't understand why people have to agree with other people when it comes to pro wrestling. Like, who's your favorite Sopranos character? Paulie. I like Silvio. Whoa! Like, why would you?
I like Tony.
I like Paulie. I'm a Paulie guy. Come on.
Paulie's
so classic.
But, he's not about family, Paulie. He's about Paulie first.
Paulie first. Yeah, but he's got the best lines in the show, Paulie.
He's got great moments. There's no question.
He's got the best lines. Oh, my God.
Tony's good, too.
Oh, of course. I mean, Tony is the main character. You can't, for sure. It's a great show. Anyways. The Tony Soprano of the WWE is, of course, Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, the head of the table.
Is that Tony D'Angelo?
No, I'm not sure who that is. I think Tony he's like the like Sopranos wannabe character in NXT, right? Is that Tony D'Angelo?
Exactly.
Okay. I knew they had one of those. I didn't know what his name was. No, he would be like the Brendan Fallone of the WWE.
Right? Low on the totem pole.
Very low. Got shot in his bathtub by Mikey Palmich while Junior watched. Chrissy's friend, season 1. Mikey Palmich! But Chrissy got revenge.
So many years.
You remember what happened to Mikey Palmich?
I don't know.
He was out for a jog. Chrissy and Paulie got him. Poison ivy all over me. It itches. And then they shot Mikey Palmich in the woods after he killed Brendan Fallone. Yeah, I know The Sopranos inside and out. Maybe a little too much. But, yeah, Mikey Palmich. That guy, And then later, a few seasons later, when Paulie goes to the psychic guy, he goes, Mikey, he wants to know if the poison ivy still itches. And Paulie's like, what the hell? He's like, how do you know that? Like, creepy.
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, what a good show. Much better than wrestling usually. Oh, sometimes the wrestling will surprise you.
Not Raw this week.
No, this week was pretty weak in the WWE, right? I thought AEW had a better week than WWE did.
I mean, again, because there's so much WWE content.
On TV,
a lot of good.
The pay-per-view was good. I just want to... Yeah. The pay-per-view was really good. I thought Hell in a Cell was good, but like Raw and SmackDown this week were kind of... And I thought Dynamite was a better show than Raw or SmackDown. And Rampage, whatever.
Right. Well, you can tell like they're going into a pay-per-view, Dynamite, so it kind of needs to like up its game in a sense. Where Raw, they're coming off a pay-per-view, so it's kind of like, well, this is what we have to work with for Money in the Bank now. So let's try to get this to work. And you kind of tell it was kind of wonky, Raw. Like, again, we keep talking about this almost every week. I'm like, this candidate for like the worst Raw of the year. Well, that main event, so bad. Oh, I hated that main event so much. It was a 4-way match.
Right. I just know Seth Freakin, he attacked. The Seth Freakin attacked.
Probably the best part.
Seth Freakin attacked Cody after the good promo there from Cody. Talking about leaving.
Crying, but...
Too much crying?
Like,
it's an emotional Cody.
Much.
I mean, he's got to leave for a while, and he just came in. I mean, you can forgive him.
Like, it's not the end of the world with that. It's just like, you don't have to cry like every time there's like this horrible thing. Like, you want to say you stand up to the challenges and all that, and you did. You're gonna cry afterwards when he attacks you, so save it for then. You overdo the crying, it's not gonna have the same effect. It's like, well, I expect Cody to cry at this point.
He has cried a lot since he's been back, right? He's been back for like 2 months, and he's cried in like, 3 promos on Raw?
I think more than that, to be honest.
Jeez. He does cry a lot. That is a good point, John.
Do it.
Yeah. I don't know.
He took the acting courses. Like, you saw in AEW how he was able to pull it off. Like, he does it almost exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Again, it's not a bad thing, but it's like if you overdo it, it loses its feeling, though.
I believe it, though, when he's talking about his father who's dead and his daughter that he loves. You know what I mean? Like, I believe the emotion when he's talking about those things. It's not like he's crying over, like, losing a match, He's talking about his real family and getting emotional.
Yeah.
Like, I believe it. It's not like, it doesn't feel like acting, He's putting it on, I'm sure, but, like, it's a performance, but there's still some real emotion behind it. It was one of the highlights of Raw, I thought, because Raw was not great. The four-way you didn't like? Rhea Ripley beating Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, and Doudrop. Honestly, I didn't see a lot of this. I didn't even see it because I was like, I don't need to see this. I saw the results.
You didn't?
There were some things on Raw that I saw. I saw the Cody thing. I saw the Edge thing. But, like, a lot of Raw, I just straight up skipped this week because, I don't need to watch Omos wrestle Cedric Alexander. It's not necessary.
It lasted, like, 10 seconds.
Yeah, but it's just like, what? Omos and Bobby Lashley are still involved?
I don't think so, actually. It seems like Omos is moving on to the Dirty Dogs because they came out after his match, interrupted his exit, and MVP was mad, got in their face, and MVP got super kicked.
So the Dirty Dogs are baby faces now?
Yeah, it makes sense. There's a lot of heel tag teams, so.
Yeah, why not? There's a lot of this stuff that I just didn't need. I don't need this in my life. I can't watch Raw every week. It just never got around to it. I watched Smackdown. I watched Dynamite. I watched parts of Raw, but not all of it this week, which is rare for me. I usually sit through all of it, but this week was just hard. I couldn't get around to it. Rhea Ripley getting the win over Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, and Doudrop. Huh? You don't blame me?
I said I don't blame you whatsoever. Like, usually I can watch like an hour and a half, and then it's like, okay, I got to turn this off. This hurts watching this too much. Then I put it back on. Then that Judgment Day thing happened. I'm like, I got to turn this off. This is the worst thing. And then I finished it, thankfully.
Ripley beat Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, and Doudrop in a fatal four-way to get a shot at Bianca Belair at Money in the Bank. It's the right match.
Yep. 100%.
I mean, they got to the point.
Maybe actually could have waited.
Yeah.
Maybe do that at SummerSlam, but I think they want to do Becky probably at SummerSlam. But Rhea's good too.
Becky, Rhea, Bianca, triple threat maybe?
Well, because we're just coming off a triple threat, I really think it's just going to be the WrestleMania rematch. I think that's what's going to go down. SummerSlam will repeat itself.
Yeah. But Rhea now is like a strong heel. Becky is the tweener. Right? Bianca is the babyface. Like, I could see them doing that too.
I love a title change. I don't know if they're going to do it though.
No. I don't think Rhea takes the belt from Bianca at Money in the Bank. I don't see that. And I think...
No, if anything, I see Becky getting the belt back soon.
I think the women's Money in the Bank winner is going to be from Smackdown. Because...
You need that, yeah.
You need Money in the Bank to take the belt off Ronda at some point. Because nobody's beaten Ronda.
Even then.
Well, that's it. I know. Well, that's it. Ronda's so strong that nobody on SmackDown, or really nobody in the WWE... Other than Charlotte, when Charlotte comes back, right? Possibly Charlotte.
Right. When she's done.
I mean, she might win Money in the Bank, Charlotte.
That would be great, actually.
It would make sense.
Has she ever won it?
I don't think so. And she's done everything else in WWE, so why not give her that too? Right? She's the queen.
Yep. Her or Shayna, I think.
Yeah, but come on. Shayna? They're not doing nothing.
I'm just saying,
let's go.
You can make that into a big match.
Ronda, Charlotte. Yeah, you could, but, like Natty and Ronda will be the match at Money in the Bank. They're trying to build it, but it's one pay-per-view. It's a few weeks, and that's all it is. But Charlotte winning the Money in the Bank briefcase, I think, makes sense. But it's got to go on somebody from SmackDown because, like we said, Ronda is such a strong champion that the only way you ever take the belt off of her is with a Money in the Bank cash-in. I mean, you could theoretically have Charlotte beat her. She has beat her before, but I think Money in the Bank cash-in makes more sense, even for Charlotte to do. Lacey Evans qualified for Money in the Bank tonight, beating Xia Li, who's a heel now. Has she always been a heel?
She turned not too long ago. She did a promo, I feel like it's almost 2 months now, or maybe a month ago, where she's like, she used to be a protector, but now she only cares about herself.
Whack. I had no idea that she had turned heel. And then there was Lacey Evans. And she beat her. And now she's in Money in the Bank. Yeah, clean with a punch to the face. It's a big return match, too. She hasn't wrestled in a while. It was okay.
That's rough for Xia Li, though. I mean, that's her first loss, and it's like they haven't really done anything with her. I mean, just to have that happen to her, it's like, well, you are really low on this totem pole in the SmackDown Women's Division.
Yeah, she's nowhere.
Like, I mean, you're competing with Shotzi for like the worst right now.
At least Shotzi got to wrestle Ronda tonight. Lost by armbar submission, of course, but Ronda was doing a promo.
Give her TV time.
Yeah, she got some TV time. She's getting a lot of TV time. Every week you see Shotzi in a little thing with Aaliyah or getting locked in a place. And now she had a little promo time as well with Ronda in the ring. Challenged Ronda to a match. Ronda accepted. Ronda won. But it wasn't like a 3-move match. Like it, lasted a little bit.
She got offense.
Yeah, she got something in on Ronda. Wasn't bad. Ronda got the win. And then Natalya attacking Ronda after the match, getting a lot of offense, locking that sharpshooter in. The referees had to pull her off. Trying to make Natty look somewhat believable going into that pay-per-view. I'm a little surprised they're doing this at Money in the Bank and not just on a random SmackDown, but I guess they want a Ronda match. And it is pretty cool for Natty. She gets to wrestle Ronda for a title in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. You know what I mean? Like, Ronda, UFC legend, in Vegas, home of the UFC, wrestling her for a title. It's cool. It's a cool concept. But obviously Ronda wins easily. Could be a good match.
I feel Ronda made a huge mistake tonight, though, with her promo. I don't know if you caught it or not, where she's like, the armbar can beat that lousy impression of the sharpshooter that you do, that your Uncle Brett taught you. Like, I get what she was trying to do, but I think people took that as like a slight against Brett, that Brett didn't teach her well enough. And I think people weren't happy about that. And I
can crowd reaction, it wasn't there.
Well, that was the wrong thing to say. Like, the way she worded it was wrong. And she comes off very much like a jerk when she says things like that. So
she's a little awkward when she's in the ring cutting a promo by herself. It doesn't always work. And tonight it didn't really work.
But she still, gets a lot of attention. She's still a name. There's no question about it. It's just maybe she was better as a heel, possibly.
Heel Ronda works. But I also think just don't have her cut a promo by herself in the ring. I don't know why everybody has to do that. I think Ronda's very effective walking to the ring, smiling, slapping the hands of the fans, going in, doing her match, and then once in a while getting interviewed backstage and being asked specific questions that she has to answer. Not like going out there and doing a monologue. Just, Ronda, your match tonight, what do you think? Well, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to da-da-da-da-da. Ronda is best suited to those types of promos. I'm not saying don't have her talk. I'm just saying don't put her in the ring by herself to do a monologue. And I don't know what this obsession is with the WWE and having all their wrestlers do that if you want to be a star in the company, but a lot of them can't really do it. Like, it takes a lot of charisma and a lot of gift of gab to be able to go into a wrestling ring in front of 15, 20,000 people and talk and entertain for 10 minutes. And it didn't used to happen. I never saw Hulk Hogan in his prime in the middle of the ring do a 10-minute monologue. Ever.
Right.
Ric Flair didn't do it.
A couple of times, though. Because he was in segments, like when Brother Love had a show, they'd have it in the ring sometimes. So things like that.
But Brother Love would carry those segments.
Of course.
Because he
was...
was...
other people, too, besides Hogan.
And other people in the segment besides Hogan. Like, this was not a thing that you had to do until The Rock changed professional wrestling. Like, when The Rock started doing it, then all of a sudden it was like, well, if you want to be a star, you have to do what The Rock does. You have to have catchphrases. You have to cut these 10 to 20-minute promos in the ring by yourself and have the crowd in the palm of your hand. And you have to have matches and all that stuff. Like, the pro wrestler having to do monologues in the ring wasn't a thing before The Rock came along. And since then, everybody has to do it. And, you know, in WWE at least. And I think it's bad, you know? I think it hurts a lot of their talent. And it makes their shows really boring because you put people in the ring to talk, to do these rehearsed lines that aren't good. It's just way better when you're backstage for 2 minutes and Mean Gene is just asking you a couple of questions. Well, tonight we got da-da-da, and Mean Gene's amazing. And he sets it up, and then he throws it to you, and you say a few lines that you feel, and then that's it. Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. You know, like, it's simple, well, you know, and I don't know why they have to make it more complicated than it is, and I think Ronda would be perfect to just not cut in-ring promos. Stop doing it.
I think the problem right now is control, because like, everything is so scripted. Like, it wasn't scripted like when they had Okerlund. If anything, they relied on Okerlund more than anything, because if a promo went off the rails, he would try to get it back on the rails. You have the interviewers now, it's like if it goes off the rails, like they just laugh, you know, off camera, and then ask the question again.
Oh yeah.
So it's not very good, to be honest, right now.
The interviewers
they've set it up.
Yeah, the interviewers have no command.
I don't think a lot of them are wrestling fans. That's a huge thing. Like, I think they have somewhat of a common knowledge, but they don't really get how wrestling works in terms of cutting a promo.
They're not wrestling people.
And that's it.
Mean Gene was a wrestling guy.
100%. He wrestled.
Did he really?
Not many times. I remember he teamed with Hogan, actually.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's one thing. But he was just, you know, he was of the wrestling business. You know, like, you have to just feel it. You have to be, you know, one of the boys. He was, you know, a commentator, a ring announcer guy, but he was part of the fabric of professional wrestling. And, you know, I like Kayla and Kevin Irish, or, you know, Sarah and Sarah 2, or whoever they have, but
I think Megan maybe is one of them.
Who cares? It doesn't matter what their names are because they're irrelevant.
Okay.
They don't, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, they don't react to anything. They just have this like blank stare.
To me, it's like Renee Copy number 1, number 2, pretty much.
Yeah. And
then,
Renee,
you know, Michael Cole,
Renee had more of a clue. Like, she reacted a little bit better. But still, nobody has ever come. Yeah, everybody's worse, and nobody has ever come close to Mean Gene. That's the thing. Like, everybody who does that job should just study Mean Gene Okerlund, see what he did, see how he reacted, and just try to copy that.
I mean, I think that's what we would like, but it's not the wrestling business anymore, right? It's the sports entertainment business. So they'll tell you, like, oh, that's the old way of doing it. That's not going to work. You know, you have to follow what we tell you.
But they know Mean Gene was the best, right? They're aware of this.
I think they'll acknowledge Mean Gene every so often, but I think there was some bitterness when he left to WCW. Like, when he came back for WrestleMania 17.
Like, they're still making Mean Gene T-shirts and action figures.
Well, yeah, exploit them. Like, you know, Roddy Piper too.
Have they ever made a Renee action figure? Like, I don't think so.
I wouldn't be surprised if it happened.
I don't think there's Renee merch. And believe me, in 30 years, they won't still be selling Renee shirts. I don't think they're selling them now. Mean Gene merch. Not. I got a new Mean Gene action figure that I got in the past 6 months that they've made recently. Imagine another backstage announcer ever getting that type of respect where 30 years... He's dead, and they're still making merch out of him because he's that popular, because everybody loves Mean Gene. And for some reason, no wrestling company has ever tried, or at least not succeeded, in making any backstage ring announcer halfway as relevant or loved or even cared about or recognized as Mean Gene. You know what I mean? Like, Mean Gene was a character. No one thinks Mean Gene was bad for wrestling. No one thinks, oh, Mean Gene got himself over, went into business for himself, or any of that bullshit that you hear. Everybody just says, oh, yeah, Mean Gene was the best. Best ring, best backstage interviewer of all time. And the New York Yankees walk it off in the bottom of the 13th. Take it from the Cubs 2-1. Let's go.
What a great pitching matchup that must have been.
Yee. Yeah. Quite a game. Luis Severino went 6 strong innings tonight. Shout out to Severino. Shout out to the Yankees. Getting it done again. Bottom of the 13th. Cannot believe that, they're just, Mean Gene was the best. That's all I'm going to say. I just think they could be doing more with that role, and nobody has
100%.
Come close to doing anything with it. Will Gunther do something with the Intercontinental Championship? I hope so. New Intercontinental Champion tonight. I mean, it felt like an uneventful SmackDown, but things did happen. Gunther became the new Intercontinental Champion. Lacey Evans is the first woman to qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder match. And Riddle beat Sami Zayn to earn a title shot at Roman Reigns next week on SmackDown. So, what about Gunther, though? He beats Rick O'Shea. I thought the match was pretty good. And Rick O'Shea was just not present as an Intercontinental Champion. They've done nothing with him. I like Gunther. I think you needed to do something with Gunther. And hopefully, if featured, Gunther could be a pretty excellent Intercontinental Champion. He might restore some legitimacy to this belt. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's tremendous. So, this is, to me, a very good move by the WWE. And I look forward to seeing what Gunther does as the Intercontinental Champion. He's like a throwback Intercontinental Champion. Very respectable, professional wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Looks great. Wrestles great. He's got his little manager there. This is good with Gunther. Like, I wish his name was still Walter. I wish he was still a little chubby, because I liked the chubby version. I liked Walter better than Gunther. But
it feels better now.
Yeah, I'm sure it's better for him to be in better shape and all that. It's just the look of him. Like Walter, he just seemed more intimidating when he was Walter. He seems less intimidating now for some reason, even though he's more jacked. He just has less weight on him. He just seems not as scary. But I still like him a lot, and in the ring he's fantastic, and he's huge. Very talented guy. He's got charisma, and he doesn't talk. He doesn't talk at all, but you see him and you're like, wow, he's got a presence to him, Like he's somebody that you're like, whoa, okay, I'll watch this guy. What's up with this guy? More so when he was Walter, but still, Don't you feel that way? Like, don't you think, when you saw Walter, you're like, oh, shit, look at this guy. But now when you see Gunther, you're like, oh, yeah, cool. I know him. That's Walter.
I think a lot of people feel that way. But, I mean, he's still intimidating, though. Like, you look at a lot of people, like Ricochet, it just looked like he was a monster tonight. And I just look at terms of the challenges going forward now. They could be very interesting, but I find it's only when it gets to Drew it's going to get really interesting. And I feel like that's months and months away.
Drew?
Oh, yeah, Drew and Gunther? Like, that's a big money match, I think. Like, I would do that at Clash at the Castle, to be honest.
It is big, but I feel like WWE maybe views Drew in a higher level right now, maybe more of a main event world title level than the mid-card Intercontinental.
Right. Well, not tonight. Like double DQ, what was that?
I don't know. That match was really good. I love when Drew and Sheamus wrestle each other. I think Sheamus is my favorite opponent for Drew McIntyre. They always have a good one.
Agreed.
They beat the hell out of each other, right?
I said the match was very good. It's just that finish was very dumb. Like, you're in a match to qualify, and then you guys try to hit each other with chairs. Like, what are you doing? Like, it was just really stupid. And like to keep it up in the air, it's like, well, if you guys both got counted out, disqualified, whatever, you're out. Like, that's it. It shouldn't be like, oh, you get a second chance, whatever. That doesn't happen. It shouldn't happen. They should be out. That's it. You lost your chance. But they're probably going to do a rematch next week. No count out.
Or they both won. Well, you got to look at it glass half empty, John. You know, I didn't get disqualified. He got disqualified.
You can look at it that way, but nobody got a victory. No one had their hand raised, so that's not a victory.
So you do a no DQ
and when
match.
This happened in the past.
No DQ
this
next
week.
In the
past.
All right.
People are just, you're out of the tournament. That's it. You've lost your chance. Maybe some people get a second chance, but it's not always the same match.
Well, Drew McIntyre was backstage with Adam Pearce at one point, and he was like basically threatening him to give him another match, right?
Good face.
Yeah, why is he so mean to Adam Pearce? He's really bullying that guy.
Well, I don't mind like him being intense, but it's like it's the wrong guy to be intense with in a sense. Like that's where you need like Sonya. But I mean, it would have looked awkward too if you did that to Sonya, bullied her around. You need
worse.
Maybe Drew. If it was Drew Gulak, Drew on Drew. That would have been something.
Drew on Drew, heartache to heartache. Where is Sonya?
I guess Nowheresville right now. Like she just lost out on Raw, and there's not much for her right now. I don't think. I mean, she had a title match recently, right, against Bianca and lost. So back to the bottom of that Raw roster. That's a pretty deep hole.
It's weird how a lot of their women's roster has disappeared over the past couple of months. Like Charlotte's gone, Sasha and Naomi are gone. Who did I just say was disappeared?
Charlotte.
Charlotte's no, not Charlotte. We were just talking about Carmella is gone.
Sasha. Bayley.
Zelina. No, but I'm saying like people that were around, say, at WrestleMania. A lot of them have disappeared.
Oh, okay.
Like quietly disappeared. Carmella, Zelina, Charlotte, somebody else that I just talked about that I can't remember now. Naomi, Sasha. Right? It's weird.
Yeah.
They just kind of disappeared people.
Some of it's injuries, some of it's personal problems. One's it's marriage. So, I mean, it's all over the place there. They're making do with what they have, though. I mean, they still have stars, though. They still have, like, a stacked roster for the women.
Yeah.
It's just hard when you have two rosters, I think. That's the problem. I'm really seeing it now where it's like, maybe you should have only one women's champion.
Like, Charlotte is not a mystery. She got married and she went on a honeymoon. But Andrade came back, so you would think Charlotte's going to come back soon, too.
People come back when they want to come back, kind of thing. Like Seth didn't come back right away, you know?
Okay. Sasha and Naomi, we know what the deal is there with WWE. They're probably going to run out their contracts and be done with the company. That's what it's looking like more and more, right?
For now. I mean, didn't Sasha do this one year where she came back at SummerSlam or something, or after SummerSlam?
Yeah.
Made a big surprise comeback with different hair. I could see that happen again.
But I could see them also just running out their contracts and being done.
That too. Well, again, you think Naomi will come back because her husband's there, so you would think maybe they could work things out.
Apparently Naomi's contract runs out like pretty soon, and Sasha's got like more time on her deal. So I would think like, and they suspended them without pay, so their contracts aren't frozen; they're just running.
But no pay.
No pay.
Interesting.
But the contract is running out, so time is ticking, and eventually they can just go. I think it's without pay, which seems like how are they able to do that? I don't know. But
Well, that's the way they write their contracts. I'm sure they're allowed to get away with a lot of stuff in those contracts.
Yeah,
If
well,
you
they
don't
do.
honor your contract.
We know that they get away with a lot. Dana Brooke beat Becky Lynch on Raw this week. What the hell was that?
Well, this is why I think Becky's going to win the title, because like she's done a lot of losses for Becky, and to not win the women's championship at Hell in a Cell, to me, it just goes to show like they're building towards it. It's just going to be at SummerSlam, I think. And this was just to give Dana her moment that she had finally got that big win. She's still the 24/7 champion, so she still has that. But this is probably going to be the biggest win she ever gets.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a distraction from Asuka, but nevertheless. And the Edge squad, the House of Edge, the Judgment Day, was teasing a new member. And they announced their new member, and here comes Finn Balor as their new member, who was just their opponent the night before, which is weird.
Who lost?
Yeah. He teamed with AJ Styles and Liv Morgan and lost, and now he's
took the pin.
Yeah, took the pin, got speared from Edge and lost. And now he comes in and he attacks Edge with Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest on his side for some reason. And now Finn Balor seems to be the new member of the group, and Edge is gone. Apparently, Edge, the WWE wanted to turn this into like a supernatural gimmick.
You thought that from the start. I thought that from the start. But
but apparently Edge was not down with this program, so they creatively got him out of the group that he created.
Well, you saw the way he would cut promos. It's like, I always say, it was always awkward. It's like you're doing all this like darkness stuff, and then you're talking about how like all the fans sound funny and like they're stupid sports teams. It's like that's kind of odd for like a darkness kind of group. You don't hear like the House of Black doing that kind of stuff. You know, you would think more just the spooky lights and like stuff you don't understand whatsoever. That's usually what these groups are about. So it was just awkward. Edge just didn't fit in his own group, which was weird.
And this new group is really not exciting.
Well,
I mean,
it's too bad because Finn is just not that big mega star. He could have been, but he never was pushed to that level. So now, and just coming off a loss, it's like the worst timing. Like, he just lost, and then he bounces out Edge, and probably is going to be the leader, possibly. Like, it's just, it feels like it's a huge step down for this group. It felt like it was going to be like the main faction on Raw. I still think they're going to push him like crazy, but you just went from like how the whole like retribution thing was like the biggest thing, and it's like, well, after a week or two, then it's not the biggest thing.
It's just weird when a group debuts and then like a month later they lose their leader. You know,
fizzled out.
That's not a good sign. And Finn Balor and AJ Styles was like a cool little tag team.
It was something.
That's over. How does AJ Styles feel about all of this? Because, you know, he was feuding with Edge. That's how this whole thing started, was that AJ Styles was feuding with Edge, and it drove Edge insane. And then AJ Styles wrestled Edge at WrestleMania, and Damian Priest helped Edge win. And then AJ Styles was feuding with Edge and Damian Priest and the whole group, and then Rhea Ripley showed up and cost Edge the next match, or AJ Styles the rematch at Backlash.
Right.
And then here we have the third match with AJ Styles, and he's got some tag team partners now, Finn Balor and Liv Morgan. AJ Styles still loses to Edge again, but then AJ's tag team partner, Finn Balor, turns on Edge and joins the group that AJ was feuding with. So, where does AJ sit in all of this? Because he doesn't like Edge, but he doesn't really like Damian Priest or Rhea Ripley either. But I think he does like Finn Balor. He doesn't really have a reason to dislike Finn Balor. Finn Balor hasn't done anything to AJ Styles. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really understand the motivation here. And how does AJ fit into all of this? I guess no one's thought about that yet. Sure, AJ Styles is sitting at home like, I wonder how I fit into all of this. This is kind of weird. Because feuding with Edge, what is he now just going to team with Edge? Watch him just start teaming with Edge for no reason in particular. Other than, well, we need to get Edge out of this group, and he's feuding with Finn, and Edge needs a partner, so.
I think you're right, to be honest. I think that's going to happen. I just don't think it was well thought out. We're going to hear a really bad promo, I think, on Monday about how this is supposed to make sense, but it's still not going to sound that good. It's really too bad because, like, you see a lot of potential. I think Finn, Priest, and Rhea, there's so much potential there, and as a group, it isn't working right now. They really have to right the ship on this one. I don't know how they're going to do it.
They won't. It's awful. It's just awful. Kevin Owens beat Ezekiel at Hell in a Cell, which was nice. Like, didn't you think Ezekiel was going to win that match?
But I thought, like, Kevin really should win, like, because he beat Austin. Or, I mean, he didn't beat Austin.
Yeah.
So, like, you got to give him something, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I felt more Ezekiel just because it was his first match, right? And they played into that. But now they're doing a rematch. Yeah, he's definitely going to win that rematch.
Yeah. It was nice that Kevin won the first one, though. I hope he wins all of them.
One everyone remember.
Yeah, that's right. It's the most important one. The first one always counts more anyways.
On pay-per-view, it's the most important, yes. Or live events, sorry.
What was your favorite match on live events? What was your favorite match on SmackDown this week?
Right?
I thought we had some decent matches. Like Riddle and Sammy was pretty good. Riddle gets the win over Sami Zayn after an RKO. I thought that Sheamus and Drew was good, but the finish was kind of not great. And I thought Gunther and Ricochet had a pretty decent match, with Gunther becoming new Intercontinental Champion. I had a tough time picking my favorite match. I'd kind of say, like, despite the finish, Sheamus and Drew. Because I like their chemistry. I like when they wrestle each other. As Big E would say, two big, meaty men slapping meat, you know?
Well, to me, that felt like the most competitive. And not saying that Zayn and Riddle wasn't, but it was a different kind of style of competitiveness. That felt more like they're hitting each other for real, looks like, and they're not holding back too much. So that's why. I mean, it's just a dumb finish, but to me, like, it's not really their fault, the dumb finish. That's just what they had to work with.
Yeah.
They still put on a very good match. So, yeah, to me, that's the best match. But I thought maybe Sammy and Riddle, but there was a little, like, hiccup in their match. And I keep thinking about that all the time now, where Sammy jumped off the top, and he just, like, caught Riddle's head, and Riddle just fell down. And they just picked him up, gave him a brainbuster. I mean, mistakes happen. But that was, like, at the worst time it could happen.
There was something about that match that just didn't seem like the chemistry was off. I don't know. It didn't. Like, it was. There were moments that were good, but there were other moments that were kind of like, what's happening here?
It was wonky a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think they've wrestled each other enough.
Yeah.
I think, they're both very good, and they both want to go like 100 miles an hour. And I think that's where you get some mistakes, like what happened. Like, you're going so fast, you're like, oh, you forget one thing for a second. There's a little bit of hiccup, and I felt like there was a couple hiccups. Where Drew and Sheamus, they I think perfected their match.
They both have like kind of weird styles, like not traditional pro wrestling styles. Riddle and Sammy, and I think sometimes when you have that, it doesn't really work out. Like, I remember seeing RVD and Jeff Hardy wrestle back in the day, and thinking, "Oh, this is gonna be awesome," and it always kind of like it never really worked for me. Like, it was never what you thought it might be. Like, some guys are really good, but they both have like weird styles, and it just doesn't fit. Like, you need a guy with like a traditional style versus a guy with a weird style, and then you have a better match type of thing.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I think the expectations were too high for RVD Jeff Hardy. I feel like they had some good matches, but everyone expected like the greatest match of all time, and it's like it just didn't work out, sadly.
Well, that's it. But it should have. You know what I mean about that? Like, it was like RVD and Jeff Hardy, you're like, wow, this is going to be awesome. And then you watch it, and it was like, yeah, it's pretty good. But, something was, like, not quite, on different drugs, I think. They're just on different drugs, not on the same wavelength. At the time.
I think it was just more what they were allowed to do back then. There were still more restrictions in, like, the early 2000s. So it was harder, I think, to just do whatever the hell you wanted. So it's
Mm-hmm.
more freestyle now. There's still restrictions, of course, but I feel like they would have been better like now probably. Not that, they're older now, but like in their prime right now, the way the styles are, I think it would have been better for them.
Riddle getting the win over Sammy. The stipulation was if Riddle wins, he gets a title shot against Roman next week on SmackDown. If Riddle loses, he's banned from SmackDown. But he won, which means that Roman and the Usos are not too happy with Sammy. And it also means
talk to him next week.
Yeah, and it also means that Roman will have to show up on SmackDown next week and wrestle against Riddle.
And defend
the title. We're going to have a world title match on SmackDown next week. And the fact that Roman hasn't been on SmackDown for a couple of weeks, and when he comes back, he's going to defend his title against Riddle, feels like a big deal. Well done.
Yeah, I think this is also because like he's a bit banged up too. Like you saw that WrestleMania match with Brock. It was a tough match for him.
Well, it's not just but like he's a world champion. He's on every show. You know?
That too.
And he's wrestling Brock, and he's wrestling Drew on the house shows, and he's wrestling this guy and this guy. Like, you always hear these guys that are world champion talk about it in WWE. Like, it's hard. It's a rough schedule. There's a lot expected of you, and you have to go and go and go, and you never get a break, and you're wrestling the biggest matches, and you're there. You know, everybody is expected to show up at the arena, say 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever it is, right?
Maybe earlier.
Right, earlier. But when your match is done, you could leave. But Roman's match isn't done till the end of the show, so he's there the longest. You know what I mean? He's there all day. It's rough as a champion. He's wrestling big matches. There's a lot of pressure, and it's just you're constantly going, and you're just the top guy, and you got to perform. And I don't blame him for taking time off at this point. Like, things are kind of slow. You need guys to show up and do other things and carry the ball, and he's the champion, and he's going to hold it, and he's the best champion right now. People are mad that he's taking time off, but I think, take a couple weeks off here or there. Missing an episode or two of SmackDown, missing a pay-per-view or two is not a big deal. As long as you're there for SummerSlam and the Rumble and Mania, and a few SmackDowns here or there. Like, you don't have to be on every week on SmackDown. Take 2 weeks off and then show up for a week or two and then take a couple more weeks off. Like, I think it's fine. It's more than Brock was doing when he was champion for a while,
Brock
I think
would
it's
never
fine.
Wrestle on TV.
Well, that's it. Roman's going to wrestle on TV. And it's not a big deal for him to wrestle on TV, but because he's been gone for a little bit, it feels like a big deal. And this seems like his Money in the Bank defense. Because I don't think he's going to be at Money in the Bank. This was the rumored match for Money in the Bank. And now that it's happening on SmackDown next week, I'm thinking we don't see Roman at Money in the Bank. He won't defend.
No, but this is, I think, the build-up, because I think Randy's going to come back. And we're going to go towards Randy and Roman at SummerSlam.
Yep. Men's Money in the Bank winner is a big deal this year.
Well, it could be Randy.
And he just cashes in for a match at SummerSlam?
Has he not already won 2?
Money in the Banks? Yeah. I've seen him win 1.
Okay.
I know that. I know he's at least won 1. I think it was
in a couple of multi-winners.
Philadelphia, possibly.
Yeah, I want to say Philadelphia. But I know Edge has won it twice. Miz has won it twice. It looked like Cody was going to win 1. Doesn't look like it's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
So, Bobby Lashley would be great. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
No. Randy, I guess.
Well, Drew makes sense. He just does the cash in at the Clash at the Castle.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't say he's not back in the Money in the Bank ladder match, so.
No, I think him and Sheamus probably have a no DQ match on SmackDown next week, and the winner gets into that Money in the Bank ladder match. I don't know how many guys are in that. 6, 8? Probably 6, right?
I want to say 6 or 7, no?
Yeah.
Usually 6, I think.
Lacey Evans officially in. I don't know. Wikipedia is saying 8.
Wow.
But I don't know if that's, I mean, that's,
they could do it.
Who knows?
I mean, they have the people to do it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's going to get to the bare minimum when you get to like 7 and 8, I think. You're going to see like Ricochet. You'll see like Xia Li or something, like, not Xia Li, but someone like that, like Shotzi.
Prediction for the Roman match next week. I've got Roman Spear 1, 2, 3. No help, no interference, no nothing, not necessary. It's just Riddle. It's just SmackDown. Roman goes over strong.
I got the guillotine choke.
Ooh,
chokes out Riddle. That's a statement.
It's a statement, but I think it's a bigger statement to just put him down and pin him.
Yeah, but you choke him out, you don't let go of the hold, then Randy shows up. I mean, you can still do the whole pin him and then beat him down afterwards, then Randy shows up, but choke's good too. It's already there.
I don't think you do Randy shows up. I think you leave him laying and you stand tall because they're the twos and he's the one. Roman Reigns.
Could very well happen.
Tribal chief, baby. Standing up just by himself, sure. Standing tall.
Safe bet.
Yeah, you don't need extra thing. This is what you get. You get Roman Reigns as the champion after defending his title, standing there with his finger in the air. Everybody loves it. And all the fans putting their fingers in the air. Have you noticed that's catching on? He comes out, he does that. Everybody's putting their fingers in the air. Out of respect for the tribal chief. Tremendous. Other things happening next week on SmackDown. Max Dupree will debut his new client. I know you're excited for that. Huh? It's supposed to be tonight, but they delayed it. Yep.
Maybe they just didn't have. Maybe it's Cesaro coming back, and they just he wasn't ready or something.
Doubtful. I think he already has like guys that he's been using.
Yeah, there was Mace, who he calls Face now.
There you go.
And what's the other guy? Guy from Saudi Arabia.
Mansoor.
There you go.
There you go. I think he'll probably be those guys. And Madcap
Maybe
Moss.
the look isn't ready.
Yeah, or I think they just didn't have time for it on the show. They just ran out of time. Madcap Moss is going to wrestle Happy Corbin again next week on SmackDown in a last laugh match. And even McAfee and Cole were like, hey, do you know what that match is? They're like, no, I have no idea, but we'll find out next week. It's like they made a gimmick match and they don't even know what it is. What the hell is a last laugh match? Whew.
It should start the show, so we just get over with, but I feel like it's going to be top of the second hour.
I don't know. I don't need to see those guys at all. You know who I do need to see? June 27th in Laredo, Texas. The champ, it's John Cena! He's coming back. It looks like he's going to wrestle Austin Theory at SummerSlam for the U.S. title. And I guess he'll lose to Austin Theory at SummerSlam? I don't know. Or maybe he'll win and be U.S. champion again? I'd rather that. John Cena's coming back. Oh, my goodness. That's big. If they could get him for SummerSlam, it's John Cena. One of the biggest stars in the world. One of the biggest stars in the history of WWE. He will be back. They're celebrating 20 years of Cena. And as part of the 20 years of Cena celebration, all month long, all month of June, it's 20 years of Cena celebration. And he will be returning to Raw on June 27th. So a couple of weeks, we will see the champ again on Raw.
The day after Forbidden Door.
Wouldn't it be cool if he was at Forbidden Door and then on Raw the next night? It won't happen. It would be cool, though, because John Cena is amazing. I'm excited to see John Cena back on Raw. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great, man. A Cena, you talk about a guy who can go in the ring and do a monologue and do a in-ring promo. John Cena, baby. He can do it. He can do it.
I mean, he can cut good promos, but I also remember there's a lot of bad promos. Some stupid, like Ace Ventura jokes they used to do.
That's true.
Wasn't a fan of that.
No. A lot of bad promos. I'd say probably more bad than good, but still, some of them have been good. He has the ability.
He needs to be motivated. When he's motivated, yeah, like, and it's a big deal, sure. I feel like with Theory, he's going to be too jokey, though.
Well, it's also hard to hit it out of the park every single week. It's hard to, crush it every week on a promo, and they gave Cena the mic every week. Not everybody could be The Rock or Stone Cold or MJF, Some people are just John Cena.
Which is like you say, it's not bad. It's just, there are better.
Like MJF. My God, that guy's good. But I'm looking forward to seeing John Cena on June 27th. But if AEW, or if they were advertising MJF for June 27th, I'd be much more excited. Because that guy is the most interesting man in professional wrestling today. And finally, John, why is Alexa Bliss going after Jade Cargill?
Like, I only saw you kind of tweeted about it. I didn't see what the whole thing was because I'm like, I don't care about this whatsoever. So it's just funny that you commented about it. So I'm like, I guess this is making headway, but I still don't really care. What happened?
Well, yeah, hold on. Let me...
Well, Jade's feuding with her friend in AEW, right?
Yeah, so here, let me lead you down this rabbit hole of nonsense, okay?
Oh, boy. Here we go. This should be fun.
So here is Athena, who used to be Ember Moon, okay? And this is her tweet, AEW, today, call me classy and sassy, hashtag fallen goddess, hashtag the alpha, hashtag AEW Dynamite, okay? There's a picture of Ember Moon that she posted of herself, right? And here is Jade Cargill just jumping in and saying, you ask me, you look rather Mandy-ish. I thought you weren't trying to be sexy. Got close to a real goddess and seen you have to switch it up. Kissy face, crown emoji. But you guys want this woman to take my spot? Bitch, GTFOH. At Athena Palmer _FG at AEW. So, Jade Cargill saying, hey, you look Mandy-ish. I thought you weren't trying to be sexy because Ember Moon, or Athena, she's now called, said that WWE was trying to get her to look sexy and was telling her and the rest of the ladies to dress like Mandy because Mandy keeps it sexy. Right?
I believe that.
So there's Jade and Athena, who are both in AEW, who are probably, gonna feud at some point, doing some Twitter stuff. Well, kind of Athena just saying something and then Jade going after her for some reason. And then, where is it? Here, Athena responded and says, at Jade Cargill, that's real rich coming from someone who's also buff, blonde. Mandy and Charlotte are already taken. Move on, hussy. I hope you keep that same energy next time I see you. Hashtag and new, hashtag fallen goddess. Is she saying Jade Cargill is trying to take Mandy and Charlotte's gimmick? First of all, Mandy's not blonde anymore. And she is jacked, but when I think of Mandy, I don't think of, she's just like Charlotte. Like in any way. You know what I mean? And when I think of Jade Cargill, I don't think of Charlotte Flair or Mandy Rose. I wouldn't compare Jade to Charlotte or Mandy, and I wouldn't compare Mandy to Charlotte. I mean, maybe to Charlotte because Jade is like the queen of AEW women's division, and Charlotte is the queen of WWE women's division. So they're okay, but I'd only compare them because they both have great looks and they're on top.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
So I don't really understand, Athena saying that, but whatever. I don't care. It doesn't really matter to me. But then...
this goes on too long.
Well, I mean, it's just between two AEW wrestlers, so you're like, okay, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter at this point, John. It doesn't matter, right?
Right.
But then, soon after, Alexa Bliss, who's in the WWE, was nothing to do with a storyline or the TBS title or anything. She jumps in. She goes, I'd love to get mad at someone who's coming after my bestie, but I'm still trying to figure out who the heck they even are, at Athena Palmer _FG. So apparently Alexa Bliss and Ember Moon are good friends, and Alexa Bliss took exception to Jade Cargill going after her, and now she's claiming she doesn't know who Jade Cargill is, when Alexa is the one commenting on the Jade Cargill and Athena thing. Is Alexa getting worked here? What the hell is going on? And what do you mean, who is she, things. Alexa Bliss? She's Jade fucking Cargill. Who the fuck are you? Alexa Bliss? She's twice your size, and she's twice the wrestler you'll ever be. Get the fuck out of here with the, who is she? You know me, John. I'm Team Jade Cargill all day, and Alexa Bliss better show some goddamn respect the next time she talks about the TBS champion. Our champion. That bitch Jade Cargill. That bitch show. Don't fuck with Jade Cargill, all right? There's a lot of things I'll tolerate in this world, but messing with Jade Cargill, disrespecting Jade Cargill, is not one of them. Alexa Bliss. Lexi Kaufman Cabrera, if that's your real name.
I believe it is. But I think what happened was I think Bliss was just trying to give this more publicity than it needed to be, because she's using her followers, her attention on Twitter to make this seem like it's a bigger deal than it actually is, because it's helping a friend kind of thing. I think it's that. Okay. Also, it could also be of she just saw this and she just reacted on the spot, didn't really think about it. She just wrote something. I don't know if she was angry or whatever, but some people just react tweet, and this could very well have been that.
So you think maybe she's being nice and helping, or maybe she's legit mad?
I think
unclear.
She's what? I think there's a little bit of truth to it, and then in the end, she can always fall back on the fact where it's well, I was just trying to help. She can just always fall that. It's kind of like how when Buddy Matthews, who she was dating, she commented on how his storyline was going, that he was dating a 19-year-old and saying oh, good job for you. And everyone thought what a jerk she is, to write that. But she didn't, I don't think she meant that as a shot, it's just good, honestly, good for you. You're doing something, but people took that a different way.
Yeah. I don't know what Alexa Bliss is doing, but that is something that wrestlers do quite a bit. And it's a really good wrestler excuse is they go, they'll say something mean about you on Twitter, right?
Right.
And then if you see them in person and confront them, they'll be like, oh, I'm just working, brother. Just a work. Yeah, oh, don't get worked.
Exactly.
Which is such a dick and pussy move. That doesn't work in any other world. You know what I'm saying? If you say...
It shouldn't.
If you say... if I went on Twitter and I was like, Johnny is a dick, And then you came to me and you're like, hey, what the hell? You called me a dick. And I was like, oh, no, I was just working, brother.
Have you seen it?
What? No, I mean, you know what I mean?
Like,
Johnny is a bad guy. And you'd be like, why you say I'm a bad guy? I'm like, well, I'm just working an angle.
I'm a heel.
I'm trying to help you, John, you know? And you'd be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, that's not how it all works. You can't be working all the time. And if there's no angle to work, what are you doing exactly? It's just real. You're just being a jerk. But wrestlers will do that. They'll be like, oh, how come you said that bad thing about me? You know, well, I was just working. You know, maybe we'll have a match one day. But I don't wrestle anymore, and we wrestle in different companies, and I'm in Japan, and you're in Puerto Rico. Why are you saying that shit about me? Oh, well, I was thinking maybe one day we could, you know, be a big match, big money. People are talking. Nobody's talking about it. I just found out about it. You're offending me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense. But that's a pro wrestler bullshit thing that happens, and it's got to stop. I don't, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like Brett. You know, Brett will just tell you the way what he feels, even if it upsets people. He doesn't care if he upsets people. Like, too bad.
You see, MVP and Chris Jericho got into like a thing apparently.
Well, apparently that was like a long time ago or something like that.
Okay.
There was an issue because of like the presidential election or something, and like MVP said delete his tweet or something, and then he got blocked, and then he blocked like Lance Storm or something. So there was a bit of drama, and then they met each other, and I think it's kind of vague on what the actual details are because MVP confirmed the story, but said the details aren't accurate. So
I don't know what the hell's going on there, but you know, if you say something on Twitter, it's real, and
it's too bad because
you might have to deal with it.
I remember Montreal, like if you remember, it was Jericho against Mark Henry MVP at Breaking Point. That was one of my favorite matches on that show. It's too bad that they don't get along now.
Breaking Point, classic pay-per-view.
Last one we had here in Montreal.
CM Punk, Undertaker, DX versus Cody and
Legacy.
Teddy. That was cool. That was a good one.
Miz
Legacy
and Kofi
won.
forever.
What's that?
I said Miz and Kofi, I think, wrestled like for the 50th time out of the thousands of times they've wrestled.
Yeah. Breaking Point. I'm going to be at a Smackdown show here in Montreal in August. That'll be fun. See a live Smackdown show. Are you going to that? You have tickets? What's your story?
Wait and see. Like I'll know closer to the date.
Nice.
I got my hookup.
All right. Well, that's about it, John. I think that's all the time we have.
It's gonna suck though
for tonight
when you think about it. Like we're going to like a SmackDown show because you can only wear WWE merchandise now. Like if I wore like this independent shirt or something, they actually would tell you, "Oh, you have to take it off. You can only wear like WWE stuff."
I think only if you're visible on camera. That's the thing.
I hope that's the case.
I think
it's like, you know, we're gonna have to fight if you're gonna like take my shirt off or something.
No. If you're in like the front row or something, and they give you a different shirt to wear, I think. I don't even know. Do they really do that?
I've heard stories about that. I know guys that who get set up in a sense where it's like, we know you're going to be on TV. We want you to wear this at this time. I mean, you see it with the Los Lotharios, right? Like a lot of that is plants, right?
Yeah. So. Well, yeah. They have a kiss cam, the Los Lotharios. That's all plants. It's like, why is there a lady standing with seemingly no seat, surrounded by security? She doesn't look like a fan.
Who wrestled on Rampage the same night.
Yeah, right. Didn't I just see her on AEW Dark? Yeah. Didn't she just get squashed by Jade Cargill 2 weeks ago? What's going on?
Probably.
Yep. That's the trajectory for some wrestlers. Jade Cargill squash, Los Lotharios kiss cam, AEW contract, lose to Britt Baker on pay-per-view. Sounds good.
It's not bad. Not bad, yeah.
Not bad. You know, maybe Impact contract, become Impact champion, lose to a man for some reason.
Even then, I think you're still going to have to work other dates. You see a lot of those guys work other dates, not just Impact, so I don't know if they make enough.
I mean, AEW people work other dates too, right?
I think it's just when they're not used so much. Like, you don't see... Has Danielson wrestled any other feds except AEW? I don't think so.
No. Moxley does all the time.
Well, that was part of his thing, that he still wanted to wrestle in New Japan and do whatever is like GCW stuff.
Moxley
some guys like
is wrestling. Is it tomorrow? Is Moxley wrestling Mike Bailey tomorrow?
I guess that would be today, right?
Yeah.
Technically, the 11th?
Yeah. You hear about that?
I did not hear about that.
Yeah, I think Mike Bailey's wrestling Moxley like tonight, technically, or, Saturday night.
Right. That's a big thing, AEW versus Impact. You don't see that too much. Just straight up one-on-one like that. Usually maybe a tag or something, but one-on-one, it's kind of rare.
Yeah. It's a pretty big match. Yeah, Wrestling Revolver. It's a Fight TV thing.
There you go.
It's in Dayton, Ohio. Pro Wrestling Revolver. It's an indie company in Ohio. And they got Mike Bailey wrestling John Moxley.
I imagine that's the main event.
I think so. I mean, they've got a lot of stars on this thing. Alex Shelley, Sami Callihan, Trey Miguel, Rich Swann.
A lot of Impact guys.
Yeah. A lot of Impact guys. But Moxley in the main event against Mike Bailey. So good for Mike Bailey, a good local Montreal guy, having a big match against John Moxley, former WWE champion. That's cool. Moxley's one of the biggest stars in pro wrestling. I always like to see a guy from Montreal having big success in the world of wrestling. So that's Pro Wrestling Revolver coming up Saturday night. Moxley versus Bailey. And I'm sure the match will be awesome because Bailey is he's pretty good. He's pretty damn good, right?
The style. That's the interesting part about that match is the styles clash. How is that going to be? Like, Bailey's pretty good. He's going to, put his style in, but then so will Moxley. That's a very interesting match.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I'm going to try and see that tomorrow night. I know it's an pay-per-view.
I'm sure, like, if you don't watch it live, you can watch it because you're kind of busy tomorrow, so.
Oh, yeah, there's a UFC event. I don't know if I'll be able to watch this thing. I am doing a watch-along for the UFC. I can't forget about that, UFC 275. I'll be here tomorrow night.
People here, don't forget. Watch this channel.
Yeah, I'll be here with AJ tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time for the UFC 275 watch-along. Freddie and AJ and myself will be watching the UFC pay-per-view. Glover Teixeira, the UFC light heavyweight champion, defending against Yuri Prohaska. Woo! The Ninja, Yuri Prohaska. This guy is some fighter. And, of course, Glover, a legend of the sport, just one of the best of all time. That's going to be a great fight. Valentina Shevchenko defending her title against Tyler Santos. And Joanna Jędrzejczyk against Zhang Wei Li in the rematch. Should be an amazing UFC pay-per-view tomorrow night. I can't wait for UFC 275. I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see Glover and Yuri. I'm pumped to see Joanna champion rise again. I'm looking forward to it. We gave you the preview. We gave you the picks. We gave you some winners on Thursday night. Every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time here. Ringside Report MMA. Check out our UFC 275 preview show right here on the Ringside Report Network. And just before we go, John, your next match, do you know? Do we have a booking? When can people see you?
I think it's sometime in July, but the date's not confirmed yet, so keep watching Wrestling Uncensored to find out. Hopefully maybe next week.
There you go. Johnny North, follow him at North Genesis, at Genesis Johnny North on Instagram. Thank you to Harold Schneider. You are the Super Chat leader of the night. Appreciate you, Harold. Thank you to all of the members supporting the Ringside Report Network. Thank you. Do not forget to join join.ringsidereport.net, or you can go to donate.ringsidereport.net to support the channel as well. I'll be back here with AJ and Freddie tomorrow night for the UFC 275 watch along. Thank you, and thank you to Johnny, especially for surviving the show and putting yourself through it, John. I know you had a rough go at the beginning, a little bit of a rocky start. I hope you're feeling all right, and thank you for powering through, man.
Goes to show, if you puke and then crap right away, it kind of like releases all that toxin in you.
All right, we didn't need to, but yeah, thank you for suffering, putting your body through on the line and everything. But we're not going to talk about it anymore because the show's over, and I don't want to hear about it. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.